let's take a look at setting up and solving proportions. We've been solving proportions ever since fractions, when we were solving for unknown values in equivalent fractions. Setting up a proportion is the major challenge. Let's review solving a proportion real quick. There's two ways to look at it. Either way, it's called cross multiplication. In the first case, I'm going to multiply the two values that are across from each other, 24 times 5. Then I'm going to multiply the other two values that are across from each other, 30 times x. This is going to set up an equation. 120 equals 30 times x, or 30x. It's a one-step equation. I'm multiplying x by 30. The inverse to multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 30. 120 divided by 30 gives me 4, so x equals 4. My unknown value is 4. The shortcut method, instead of writing out the equation itself, multiply the same two numbers that are across from each other on an angle. 9 times 16. That's going to give me 144. The value that's across or on an angle from the variable or unknown value, I'm going to divide this new product by that value. So 144 divided by 24. That comes out to be x equals 6. So my unknown value is 6. In both cases, you're doing the same steps, the same operations. They just look differently when you write out the work. One version looks like an equation. One version just looks like you're organizing the steps that you're typing into a calculator. Whatever method works best for you, use that method. If you find that you're making mistakes using one method, try the other to see if you're more effective or more efficient. We use proportions in a lot of different areas of math, everything from fractions to percentages to rates and ratios. It always becomes more challenging when we're dealing with math in the real world. When we have to set up a proportion before solving it, always start by finding the original ratio or original rate. In this case, your homecoming dance has a ratio of 10 girls for every 7 guys. If at the end of the night there are 49 guys, how many girls are there? So we have to make sure that the same ratio remains the whole night. The initial ratio is 10 to 7. That's 10 girls for every 7 guys. This is a comparison between the number of girls to the number of guys. Because I'm dealing with real-world values, I labeled what 10 represents and what 7 represents. If you do this step, it takes a little extra time, but it reminds you where you're going to put your values when you need to solve. When I set up the other side of my proportion, I need to remember that I'm creating a ratio. 1/2 of that ratio, so either the numerator or the denominator, the top or the bottom, is going to be a variable, an unknown value that I need to solve for. The other side, either the top or the bottom, the numerator or denominator, is going to be a given value. They said that at the end of the night there's 49 guys. How many girls are there? They're asking for the number of girls if there's 49 guys, assuming we keep the same ratio of 10 to 7. My original ratio of 10 girls for every 7 guys has girls in the numerator, guys in the denominator. So I'm going to keep that same organization. So 49 is going to go in my denominator. This way, 7 and 49 both represent guys. 10 and an unknown both represent girls. Solving a proportion is the easy part. I'm just going to cross multiply. I'm going to do 10 times 49. It's going to give me 490. 490 divided by that other value, the third value that's left by itself, or the one that's across at an angle from the unknown. So divide by 7. I'm going to get 70 girls. If there are 49 guys, if I keep the same ratio, there should be 70 girls at the dance. 7-Eleven recently released an app that for every 6 Slurpees you buy, 7-Eleven will give you 1 for free if you use the 7-Eleven app. If you just won your 3rd Slurpee, how many Slurpees have you bought? When we set up our initial ratio, be careful, look out for any distracting values. In this case, I see 7-Eleven written in there twice. That could throw you off. We're not calculating that. That just happens to be the name of the store. For every 6 Slurpees that I buy, I win 1. So I need a ratio of 6 to 1. 6 represents purchase Slurpees. 1 represents won Slurpees. Take the time to label what does the 6 represent, what does the 1 represent. Setting up proportions is the biggest challenge. Labeling really helps you organize your work. If you just won your 3rd Slurpee, how many Slurpees have you bought? So I'm looking to find how many Slurpees I've purchased if I've won 3. So I know how many I won, so my denominator on the other side of my proportion needs to be 3. My numerator on the other side of my proportion needs to be an unknown, it needs to be a variable. So I'm going to set up 6 over 1, or 6 to 1, equals x to 3. So for every 6 Slurpees you buy, you get 1 free. For every unknown Slurpee you buy, you get 3 for free. All we do now is cross multiply. 6 times 3 gives me 18. We divide that new product by the value that's all by itself, so I'm going to divide by 1. 18 divided by 1 gives me 18 Slurpees. I had to buy 18 Slurpees in order to win 3. Remember, the answer is not just simply 18. We're dealing with word problems. Word problems are real-world situations, real-world scenarios, so we need real-world answers. On your own, get started on the practice problems on the following pages. The answer keys for your practice problems are always at the back of your packet. You just need to scan. If you finish early, you can go ahead and start on your summative assessment preview. Remember, this assignment looks just like your summative assessment will look tomorrow. The same types of questions, the same amounts of questions. The only thing that changes is the numbers.